In other words, I think it's good that there's online. We don't need to cut down. Maybe the old model of cutting down trees and having big ad staffs to support this, little group of journalists in a capsule, that you're sending off with a big rocket behind it or whatever, just isn't the way it works anymore. And it doesn't have to be that way. But are we losing something in this shift, let's say, from a more traditional journalism to a new online
resources? I mean, those places had a lot of money. They had big budgets. They could hire hundreds of reporters. Now, when you have 2 or 3 people, and that's good. I've always said it's better to be lean and mean than fat and do nothing with it. But still a lot of resources, because now what is going to the stories that most of these places are going to do is fast, fast, fast. You can't spend months on a big project not even so much about winning awards, but bringing people down. Like the Register, I remember every year they would have their big, huge project, and there would be some good ones. Lead, too much lead in Mexican candies, or the UCI fertility scandal. You can't do those when you have a staff of 3 people over 2 weeks.
So you lose, to your question, you lose investigative journalism, because and most newspapers are losing that anyway, because it's the most expensive thing. Because you could have someone on an investigative story for a year or 2, and that's all they've done for that year or 2, but then they win a Pulitzer for the UCI fertility scandal, right? What you end up gaining is you get people with interesting perspectives. You get citizen journalism from these columnists who aren't being paid, it sounds like, in different sectors of the community. But there is a trade-off there, right? You don't get the investigative, and you don't get the understanding of the traditional values and ethics of journalism, so it takes an editor or a publisher to step in and provide those. But I do think that everyone's moving in that direction, partially because I do think, and I bring this up in almost every meeting I have now with advertisers or potential advertisers, that the local communities, whether it's through a nonprofit model to support these papers, but also the business community has to step up and say, okay, maybe it's not the same ROI we're getting from Facebook or Google advertisements or whatever it is, but we have a duty to support these organizations. Because what I find oftentimes is that people with large companies with lots of money that are doing super well will call all the time for stories or editorial, or they want a feature, but they don't support that local paper at all, and they expect that they're still going to get covered or get their things promoted. And there's a disconnect, which is if this isn't supported economically by the big businesses in the community and small businesses in the community, how do you expect it to survive, to actually do the things you need it to do?
Well,